think it's time to have a little chat about Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt then, because this has rumbled on far too long for my liking. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the context for any of you that haven't seen the quotes, what's gone on in the last week or so, and then I'm going to get into my perspective. I also want you to get down in the comments and let me know what you think about this, because I feel like a lot of us will be on a similar type of page, but I want to see what your reaction is. So we'll start with the context then. Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt have their own podcast with Paddy McGuinness. They were previewing the Manchester derby last week, and they got on to Manchester United's defence, talking about Maguire, De Ligt and Martinez. Scholes stated that he wanted De Ligt and Harry Maguire back for a physical presence, which I can understand. I can understand that as a point of view up against Erling Haaland. And then Nicky Butt went on this tangent, this really weird kind of avenue to take it. He basically said Erling Haaland was going to pick up Lisandro Martinez under his arm, carry him like a little child, which it's a weird thing to say in two instances. Number one, you're an ex-Manchester United pro before one of the biggest games of the season, and you're coming out and slandering a player like that, because that's not constructive criticism. That is just mick taking and looking for clips. And then secondly, it doesn't fit the evidence of the situation. You have to, if you're going to say something like that, it has to be backed up or validated by statistics, right? So Erling Haaland has played against Lisandro Martinez now, I believe, 5 times. Yes, he scored a hat-trick in one of them games. The rest of the games, he hasn't scored a goal. And the evidence stacks up even more yesterday because he didn't even have a shot on target. And Lisandro Martinez was brilliant in that game. And then it's rumbled on a bit further. So after the game, Lisandro Martinez obviously delighted with his performance. I was delighted with his performance. I really wanted him to kind of not validate what they were saying and it become kind of a meme, what they'd say, and AI photos generated of him. And then he comes out, and after the game, there's a clip of him going around silencing the critics, basically, and saying like this to the United fans, we're all together, all that type of stuff, which is fine. I don't mind that as a thing, biting back when you've just played well. And then it came out and he did an interview, and he had this to say about Scholes, right? I'll read it out word for word, but I don't misquote. Honestly, he can say whatever he wants. I told him already. If he wants to say something to me, he can come to me wherever he wants. To my house, wherever. I don't care. Right? And I think Lisandro, given the criticism that it wasn't constructive. He has every right to come out and say that. And you know exactly what Lisandro Martinez is like. He's going to say it. And I don't think that's disrespectful, because he hasn't gone back and said, oh, Scholes is this, or Nicky Butt's this, or whatever it might be. And then it continues even more into today. A day after a derby when everyone should be delighted with the result, delighted with the performance, and Paul Scholes gets onto Instagram. Basically, a picture of Lisandro, the quotes that he's made, because Sky obviously shared it because it's a talking point. Paul Scholes, someone's had a good game, was really happy for you, ... tea, no sugar, please. And that's it, that's the context up today, right? And my perspective on it is, from the start, I always want, from ex-professionals, expertise, right? Because if I'm going for like a laugh or a joke or something like that, I'll watch Pitchside, I'll watch TikToks, I'll watch all that type of stuff. But Paul Scholes, Nicky Butt, Gary Neville, Roy Keane, I expect some sort of analysis, some sort of detail to what they're actually saying, just to throw it out there, especially in that situation, and saying, because that's just slandering, isn't it? There's no context to that, no evidence. It seems really bizarre. And then the follow-on after the game, we've seen Paul Scholes is quite active on Instagram and likes to do this type of thing. And I just don't understand their angle on it, because he could have just taken his medicine and just been quiet, because Martinez has given you the proof. He's done the job. He's gone out. We've battered City in that game. But no, that's not good enough. You need to bite back. You need to retaliate. So what is Paul Scholes and what are Nicky Butt wanting to achieve from this? Because if they sit down with Lisandro, he's got all the evidence there. And also, as ex-Manchester United players, we need some sort of backing. We need some sort of kind of expertise on what is going on in this situation. We don't need further kind of slandering of the team. I keep saying slandering, but that's what it is. We don't need that from them. Everyone else can do that. The people on TikTok, the people on YouTube, we can slander as fans, right? We don't need that from them. And I just think it's a really odd situation. And there's going to be more to come from this. I have no doubt about it. Paul Scholes has obviously done that. It's definitely 100% going to be brought up on their podcast next week because it guarantees clips, it guarantees traction to their podcast, which, albeit, if they want to continue in this vein, I do just hope that Lisandro doesn't bite back next time. And like I say, I have no problem with what he's done this time, but next time, just put a nail in the coffin. Just finish it off. You've done your job. You've performed well. You've kept one of the best strikers in the league perfectly quiet, silence. Where was Haaland? Pep even took him off, which doesn't happen in that situation. So you've done your job. Evidence is there on a plate, right? Ignore the noise. And in terms of Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes, I love them as players for Manchester United, but in terms of what they've done punditry-wise, and it's getting to a similar point with the likes of Gary Neville at times and Roy Keane at times, they're more detrimental to the squad than what they are bringing a positive in terms of analysis or critique. They're just slandering. So that's my perspective on it. Let me know down in the comments what you think, if you think it's just ridiculous, or if you agree with Nicky Butt, get that down in the comments as well. And I will see you in the next one. Follow along, subscribe and comment. See you later.